So, da kann ich nicht durch. Da ist keine Tür. Alles nicht zugänglich für mich. Na gut. Okay, also den Abschnitt kann ich erstmal ignorieren. Und gleich mal hier nach Westen weiter. So, da oben geht's nicht weiter, hier unten geht's nicht rein. Ein normaler Thug ohne Gang. Also in manche Gebäude kann ich wohl rein. Da geht's bestimmt wieder zurück. Ja, probieren wir's. Ja, bis locked mit 85 Skill. Das wird noch ein Weilchen dauern, bis das funktioniert. Lauter Trash und da ist Vince. Hallo Vince. A well-knit man steps in front of you, crossing his arms and spreading his legs slightly apart. Simultaneously, he addresses you with a light, raspy voice. Hold it right there, Jack. This alley here is belong to us. You wanna pass through, you gotta pay a one-time fee. Oh. Also, keine Lust eigentlich, Protection Money zu zahlen. Ich könnte Intimidate versuchen. Und ich glaube, das mache ich auch. Weil ich habe den maximalen Skill momentan bei Intimidate. Das probiere ich. I'm not paying you anything, you mangy street rat. Now step aside before I turn your brain into graffiti. You're either very brave or very stupid, Jack. Threatening me on my home turf. Okay, jetzt kann ich entweder attackieren oder weiter intimidaten. I don't need to be brave. I've got enough firepower to blow you and your little cardboard city to upper Underrail. I'll be passing through here now, unless you want a demonstration. Gut, ein Versuch ist wert. His stare is nothing but anger, but after exchanging it with his comrades, he motions you to pass. Dankeschön. Es geht doch. Kann ich dich ansprechen? Nein. Also ja, aber keine Informationen rausholen. Und das hier wird jetzt dieser Campingplatz sein, an dem der Slacker-Boss gesprochen hat. Hier gibt's wieder einiges. Erstmal zu Catherine. A young, slender, tall redhead stands before you. She addresses you with a rather thick accent. I see you ain't from around here, Slick. I'm Catherine and I run this little shop. You're here looking for some electronics, maybe? Oh, ich kann auch hier nochmal fragen. No drill parts, sorry. Ain't got anything of the kind. Good luck finding it, though. That junk's old. I've only ever seen one armadillo, and that thing was stripped down to the bone. All the way to the bone, Slick. Any hints as to where I should look? Well, I mean, you can try the bigger junk merchants at the docks and the Depot B. If that fails, there might be one somewhere in Depot A, but it ain't worth risking your neck. What's so bad about Depot A? Rabid mutated dogs for starters. That much I know myself. Granted, I've never been too far in, but those who have, and returned in one piece, claim there are also rogue turrets, minefields, and even mutated folks in there. All sorts of freaking dangerous stuff. If you really want to check it out for yourself, you're gonna have to convince scrappers to let you in, because the entrance to Depot A is, well, it is from within their base. Okay. How come your store's here in the slums? This is the only building I could get my hands on. And it ain't that bad. Slick, seriously. There ain't any real comfortable place to live in Junkyard, unless you're one of the wealthier merchants with a place in a residential district, or a high-ranking gangster. So how's life in the slums? For me, it's alright. I make enough coin from trading with the local customers and folks from the outside. Yeah, it's alright. But for those poor saps out there, it must be terrible. They're surrounded by heavily armed men from all sides. They can do little to protect themselves. I mean, it's bad enough they gotta keep an eye out for their neighbors that might knife them in their sleep for a piece of kefava meat, or an eel, or some pretty coin, or just cause they're derailed, but gangsters and thugs also sweep in from time to time to take whatever they fancy. The Protectorate promises to bring the Union laws and protection, but so far nothing has changed. Nothing. Lots of hobos just take to the caves instead, spelunking around, and maybe they're right in doing so. Heck, they might not find more safety, but at least there's more food to be found out there. Okay, also Junkyard ist, ja, wie ich erwartet hatte, jetzt nicht so der Mega-Platz zum Leben. Also es gibt eigentlich nur die Gangster und dann noch einige arme Leute, die sich halt nichts leisten können und tyrannisiert werden. Und das Protectorate macht halt auch nichts. Was hast du denn zu verkaufen? Gasmasken brauche ich nicht. This modulator can be used when crafting energy shield emitters. Das ist ja. Ich hätte gern ein Energy Shield. Fertiges. Das ist bestimmt hilfreich. Schützt wahrscheinlich meine HP ein Stück weit. Aber sehr nichts dergleichen. Hier gibt es ein Rezept. Nein. Na gut. Hallo Kohlmeier. You see an elderly, dried up man eating some raw mushrooms, taking them one by one from his palm until it is completely empty of everything but a thick layer of hardened skin. He stares at you, still chewing through the last mushroom, and after swallowing it he speaks. Hey stranger, I can see you are not from around here. He pauses and his stare winds around, then he continues. Might you by any chance be interested in a little business proposition? What did you have in mind, Oldtimer? He beckons you closer. I didn't always live in a tent, you know. I used to live in the residential area to the east. Really, I did. I lived in a comfy house on the east side. Oh yeah, but one day I couldn't pay protection money to the eels anymore, so they kicked me out. Heartless bastards. However, I'm not gonna waste your time with my sub-story, no. The important bit is that I know a secret way back into my old home, and I also know that its current occupant has quite a bit of coins lying around there. So you'll tell me how to get in there in exchange for a cut of the profits? What? Do you think I'm thick? I have no way of making you give me any of that money after the job is done. The only thing I want is for you to get my lucky knife. It's gotta be lying around somewhere in there. The knife won't be of much use to you, since it's not a particularly good knife for combat. But it's of sentimental value to me. Do you dig? What do you say, we got a deal? Also, ja, bei einem Gangster einbrechen, ihn ausrauben. Finde ich gut. Das ist mal was Nobles zumindest. Auch wenn ich nicht weiß, ob ich das mit meinem Stealth-Skill schon packe, aber ja, nehme ich auf jeden Fall an. Deal. Now tell me how to get in there. Great, so how about getting in? Obviously you could try the front door if you think you can hack the lock, but it's also being watched by the eels. The smart thing to do would be to go to the docks and look for the small shack north of the berths. He nods. The rocks between the shack and the cave wall can actually be dislodged there without breaking a sweat, and you look skinny enough to squeeze in between. Not saying you're a squeezer, mind you, just that you're thin enough, that's all. Between the shack and the cave wall, north of the berths. Okay. That'll give you access to a tunnel that will lead you straight into the mushroom garden of my old house. I discovered this passage one day when I found a stinking rat hound messing up my shrooms. Never got around to sealing it off. Speaking of that, there still might be rat hounds in there, so tread carefully. Okay, Redhounds sind kein Problem. Das klingt echt nach einer guten Aufgabe. Das scheint die Embassy zu sein. Also bevor ich mich mit den Gangs rumschlage, würde ich erstmal die Aufgabe hier von Kohlmeier machen. Ist er so? Ist eigentlich auch egal. Egal. Das sehe ich jetzt nicht. Würde ich von ihm die Aufgabe machen und auch die für Vera die Dokumente abliefern bei der Botschaft. Und dann, weil ich denke, der Old Junkyard klingt ziemlich happig schon. Also das werde ich dann im Anschluss angehen. Zumal ich nicht weiß, inwiefern ich mich eventuell mit einer Gang schon anfeinde. Wenn ich jetzt in den Junkyard gehe. Und womöglich verbaue ich mir dann was, weil die ganze Stadt oder die halbe, die eine Gang halt, gegen mich ist. Ja, also so viel zum Plan. Aber erstmal erkunde ich noch weiter. Vyasa hat mir nichts zu sagen. Gut. Ein Fixer. This doctor's suit is covered with dried blood and other foul stains. Its smell matching its appearance. As you come near, he slowly turns to you, inspecting your body for wounds with wild eyes which seem as if they're about to pop out of their sockets. Contrary to his stare, his voice is slow and steady. Feel in pain? I can fix you. What's behind this fence? United Stations Embassy. Hence all these folks in front of it. What's the deal with all the people outside the embassy? United Stations are helping the junkyarders in need. They are giving out food and clothes. Food... that certainly bought their affection. Quite cheap though, but them folks got next to nothing, so it makes sense. You don't like the United Stations? Never said that. I also benefit from their generosity. But what I said is true. Them guys ain't stupid. They ain't... Sehr verheimlicht uns irgendwas. Glaube ich. Can I ask you a few questions about Junkyard? No. Why not? I know where it's headed. Ach, komm schon. Naja, er würde mir eh dasselbe wahrscheinlich nochmal erzählen, was ich schon weiß. Dann schauen wir halt, was er uns anbietet. Blueprints, die ich erstmal nicht brauche. Lauter Komponenten, wie immer. Auch erstmal nicht brauche. Metathermix Headband, was habe ich denn? Ich habe Stealth und Intimidation. Metathermix increased by 11. Kostet aber 4000. Ich habe hier 10.000 plus 13.000. Alle Psionic Skills plus 6, auch nicht schlecht. Ja, merke ich mir mal, dass es das hier gibt. Da darf ich nicht rein. Junkpile ist leer. Hier geht es sogar noch weiter. Hier sind wieder ein paar Fischer. Upper Gym. Weezer Ford hat was zu sagen. You come up to an old fisherman wearing an old jacket and rubber boots. This simply clothed man watches his rod with great focus and pays no attention to you. Fishing, are we? The man silences you with a swift gesture of his hand, for his prey is about to bite. The float disappears on the surface and the rod bends downward. The fisherman grasps it tightly, yanking the rod as if he was expecting to pull a sunken ferry out of the depths. Soon enough, a small light bluish eel flies through the air and ends its journey on the man's raw-boned hand. Disappointed, he unhooks the fish with a single motion and gently releases it back into the water, in which it happily disappears. One of the two men standing nearby begins laughing, but immediately stops before his and the old fisherman's stares meet. Instead, shifting his view to his own rather steady float. The old geezer then resets the rod, and his few steps back and forth reveal a limp in his left leg. Then he turns to you. Who the hell are you? Nice catch. He turns the left side of his head towards you and leans closer, mouth wide open. Didn't catch that. Could you speak up? I said nice catch. What? That thing? He laughs. That ain't good enough to feed a cat, son. If you're trying to act nice, then don't. And if you're trying to make fun of me, then go stick your head in a siphonous rear. You dig? I didn't mean it in a bad way. Anyway, could I ask you a couple of questions? What questions? About fishing. He takes a look at his motionless float. The water ain't good right now. I suppose I could spare a few moments. Very good. I'm Thladdy, by the way. He's a Ford. That's what the folks around here call me. But for you, I'm Mr. Ford. Got it, Mr. Ford. Yeah, go ahead now. Ask your questions. How was the water here? In general, I mean. Well, it might seem stupid to someone looking from afar, like, what in hell's goddamn railroad are those slackers doing by that muddy puddle? But listen, there's an underwater tunnel connecting to a whole system of caves which are full of meals. He looks toward the tent and points to the man standing by the barrel. See that ugly Jojo there? His name's Harper Jim, Quaker at heart. Centipedes, spiders, and all kind of bugs scare the living ooze out of him. But man, can he fish like a spawn of siphoner. He caught a 50-kilo eel right here. Is this one of those fishing stories? Go on. No, it wasn't a regular old blue eel. It was a red behemoth with a yellow stripe on its side. I'd never seen anything like it before. Now, that's a catch, and I, being the best fisherman in whole Underrail, South Underrail definitely, ain't gonna let someone like Hopper Jim outdo me. What happened to the red eel? He leans forward, mouth open. What'd you say? I said, what happened to the red eel Hopper Jim caught? He sold it to one of them northerner wimps. United Station fella, he weighed less than that eel he loves. Don't know how much he got for it, the bastard wouldn't tell. I think it'd be hanging on some wall now, far as I heard. Did Hopper Jim beat some kind of record of yours by catching that red eel? It ain't about the weight, if that's what you're thinking. It's about the principle. I've caught bigger fish, 60, 70 kilos, no problem. Hell, I was doing ferry tours before Jim was even filling his diapers. I caught the largest slackjaw course city's ever seen. I caught more walking fishes than he caught fleas bitten into his skin, but he caught a 50-kilo red eel in this pool right here. That means I gotta catch something better and bigger and rub it in his nose. If not a red eel, then something else. That's what it's all about, son. That's what it's all about. Okay. Ja, dieses Fish Alive. Also, ja. Die stehen hier in Konkurrenz. Wer fängt den größten Fisch? Ist jetzt für mich wahrscheinlich nicht interessant. Wobei es gibt Angeln zu kaufen, also kann ich wahrscheinlich auch fischen. Aber naja, momentan noch kein Thema. Where did you get that limp? That ain't a fishing related question. It is if you got it while you were fishing. He pauses. Ah, gotcha. But it ain't due to no fishing. My one leg is shorter, I was born that way. There you go, son, you got that one. You think you're the best fisherman in Underrail? Yeah, he squints at you with one of his eyes, while the other one sharpens up. Something bothering you, son? Nothing, nothing. Let me ask you something else. Na, ich leg mich lieber nicht mit ihm an. Don't you be changing the subject on me, you little hopper son of a rail. What do you know, huh? Cause you sure sound like you think you're some kind of big shot, yet talking to me, geez, a Ford like that. You don't think you're better than me, eh? Better, no. Good enough to see you're full of it? That I am. Ganz normal. No, I don't think I'm better. Then shut your yap, hell. It's like talking to a retarded slackjaw. Okay, also man darf ihm nicht zu nahe treten. Das hatten wir alles schon. I gotta go, I'll catch you later. Kann jetzt auch nicht mehr auf die anderen Punkte ansprechen. Ich denke, da hätte es auch nichts Neues gegeben. Jetzt könnte ich glaube hier hoch geht's zu der einen Quest von den Scrappers. North Side of the Slums. Elwood, Gambling House, ja. Ich gehe aber erstmal zur Embassy. Hello, Garen. Old citizen, this is a restricted area. What is this place? This is an Underrail Protectorate outpost. It also houses the United Stations Embassy. What is the Protectorate? We are the most powerful military organization in Underrail, and our primary objective is preservation of humanity as a whole and protection of the civilized world. Our jurisdiction extends to the whole of United Stations, all Biocorp facilities and outposts, regardless of the location, and all vital Underrail infrastructure. What are the United Stations? It's a confederacy of stations some ways to the north of here. It's the future of the Underrail, and we hope to integrate all the station states and other communities into it. Someday even this place might be part of it. You don't have any jurisdiction over this place, right? The Junkyard is not a part of the Protectorate, no. But be advised that the embassy is sovereign territory of the Protectorate, and that I'm allowed and required to act to prevent and or counteract any action that might endanger it or its staff regardless of jurisdictional boundaries. Can I see the ambassador? Do we have business with the ambassador? Is he expecting you? Is he expecting me? Also erwartet er mich? Ich weiß nicht mehr, was Vera gesagt hat, aber ich gehe mal davon aus. Immerhin habe ich die Dokumente für ihn. And you are Slyly of Southgate Station. He nods. We were expecting you. You may enter the embassy. He unlocks the gate behind him. Thank you.